Hello, everyone. Hi, dear friends. If you don't know me, my name is Addie. I'm an STM student here at Union, and I study remotely from southwestern Pennsylvania out here in the rural hills. I have pre-recorded this talk today due to some schedule conflicts. So thank you so much to the chapel team for allowing me to contribute still in this way. Thank you all so much for being here and for arriving and to celebrate Earth Day together. As our eco-grief intensifies in our climate crisis and hopelessness threatens our collective imaginations, I feel that I have a task today to provide even a grain of hope for us. Today's reflection is rooted in a multivocal gathering of sources that have mobilized my own orientation to Earth. These include Dr. Kenneth Ngwa's work on Africana readings of Exodus and Liberation, Dr. Brigida Call's anti-imperialist readings of the Bible, queer theory and theology, indigenous epistemologies, and Catherine Keller's work on apocalypse and hope. My talk is also rooted in my experiences as a queer parent in rural America. I offer you this humble reflection as a small collage of ideas that I hope will inspire and mobilize us into deeper solidarity and relatedness with one another and with all our earthkin. Please feel free to follow along with the transcript of this talk that we've provided for you. To begin, for those of you who do not know, I am a single parent to a lovely 2.5-year-old. Some of you already know her and love her along with me. Now, single parenthood is not exactly something that I chose. In a way, it's something that chose me. While one of my grounding affirmations for the year is to allow single parenthood to bring out the best in me, whatever that looks like, I would be lying if I said that this experience was all joy and smiles. In fact, the experience of single parenthood sometimes makes me feel invisible. Like the work I do is not valuable to anyone except my child. We single parents and all parents are not paid for our labor. We just keep going and going because a young life or lives demand that we keep going. Our labor is simply expected, and because so much of it happens behind closed doors, it is erased from nearly everyone else's view. For those of us who are queer, trans, non-binary, gay, lesbian, bisexual, etc., the experience of single parenthood is even more marginalizing. And for those among us who are Black, Indigenous, people of color, disabled, immigrants, poor, and many others, the realities of single parenthood are even more alienating and erased from public view. The expectations of motherhood and parenthood, as well as the material realities of our existence, far too often cut us off from transformative communal liberation. Not only do we struggle to find communities that understand us and embrace us for all that we are, but we also just do not have the time or energy to be doing the work on the ground. This quiet, often painful, and thankless work is the same work of Mother Earth. For as long as humans can remember, and for long, long before, Earth has toiled to mother us and our ancestors, both human and non-human, as the single parent of life as we know it. In an imperfect and even disastrous process of trial and error, and seemingly out of hardly anything at all, Earth has figured out how to make homes of sustenance and flourishing for all of her children. And while she's the origin and sustainer of our lives, she still can't provide for her children by her agency alone. Earth's power exists through a web of relations, through interconnectedness, through a seemingly infinite web of overlapping ecosystems in which the extinction of even one species means the possibility of death for all of us. Earth collaborates with us to make places of refuge in a practice of homemaking that brings us into belonging. Earth teaches us this practice of homemaking as resistance, a resistance in which we can create the material conditions of liberation through our mutually enriching relationships. As someone who has practiced within the Christian tradition and is now connected with pagan and earth-based practices, I see Earth's collaborative resistance to humans' exploitation reflected all over both the Torah and the Christian New Testament. Earth actively resists humans' attempts to gain power by complicating agriculture for power-hungry humans in the Garden of Eden, by blotting out violent and hierarchical civilizations through the devastating flood, and by collaborating with the divine to decentralize human power through the confounding of human language at the Tower of Babel. Collaborating again with the divine, Earth throws the entire Egyptian ecosystem into chaos and desolation when Pharaoh's hardened heart prevents the Hebrews from leaving Egypt. The whole of the Earth community resists with the Hebrews in the form of the plagues. Frogs invade every home in Egypt. The skies pour forth thunder, hail, and fire. Swarms of locusts blot out the sun's light, and darkness fills the land. As she is oppressed by humankind throughout the biblical texts, Earth sides with oppressed peoples. In Genesis, Earth opens her mouth to receive Abel's blood after his brother Cain murders him. And again, she opens her mouth to save the celestial woman of Revelation from the terrible dragon's flood. This active resistance exists alongside Earth's quieter, but perhaps even more critical work of collaborative homemaking as resistance and as a practice of liberation. In the Exodus narrative, for example, the reeds of the Nile act as a surrogate mother to baby Moses in his basket as he waits for the Egyptian princess to find him. A bush provides a home for the fiery divine presence to inhabit when God confronts Moses. The sea divides to make way for the fleeing Hebrews and crashes down on their enemies. In the words of Dr. Kenneth Ngwa in his book, Let My People Live, Exodus is not just a political and cultural story of human migration and exile and liberation. It is also, quite fundamentally, a story about the earth and land, its experiences of trauma and the possibilities of regeneration. In these biblical stories and in stories across our traditions, we find creative and life-affirming ways in which Earth collaboratively mothers the most vulnerable among us through acts of resistance to oppressive power. For these reasons, Mother Earth is my role model in my role as a single parent. Earth reminds me that I can only exist and parent within a web of relations. I rely upon all members of my local and global Earth community to help me raise my child. The trees teach me to listen harder, to be patient, to be present, to be grounded. The spearmint that sprouts new rhizomes through the snow teaches me resilience and joy amidst life's frosts. The birds teach me how to sing new songs each morning, whatever the day before was like. My human family, biological and chosen, takes care of me and my child's needs and provides companionship for us. These very material relations are what provides a sense of belonging that empowers me and my child to enter into practices of liberation manifested through relationships. Our hope in these seemingly world-ending times is that liberation is not a single species enterprise. Earth has already begun the work of liberation. It is time for us to listen, to learn from, and to join in with her work of homemaking for liberation. It means helping single parents raise their kids, making our literal homes safe havens for people fleeing from oppression. It means developing deeply mutual relationships with our other than human kin in our communities, protecting trans and non-binary children from erasure and death. And it means taking on the unpaid labor of caring for all of Earth's unhoused children, be they human or not. Earth is the original single parent. She teaches us how to make homes where everyone is welcome, where everyone belongs, and where liberation is possible. It is this interspecies communal exodus work, the work of liberation, that makes me a single parent, not so single at all. May these meditations urge us into deeper solidarity and relationality with one another and towards a liberative future that we have only just begun to imagine. Thank you and happy Earth Day.